Miss Raven Thissel is an award winning diversity and inclusion thought leader, certified holistic health coach, international talk show host, and corporate communications consultant. Now, say that three times fast. But she serves as the marketing and PR director of the Doug Williams Center, creating solutions for racial and gender disparities in college and professional sports. She is the CEO of Thissel Consulting, where she provides executive leadership to cultural innovation and initiatives and communications project management solutions for impactful organizations. Thistle's holistic health education and background in public relations and marketing have uniquely positioned her to exercise her passion for social advancement in a variety of ways. When she observed the climbing rate of suicide and stress related illness among Black Americans, Thistle founded Crowned and Calm Co. with the mission of empowering Black communities with meditation and other holistic health tools, excuse me. She is the host of Raven Thistle Live, and IBM TV network talk show where she teaches holistic personal development to an international audience across 144 countries. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the HBCU Hour, Miss Raven Thistle. Thank you for coming and joining us. Listen,
That's so impressive.
I uh
Thank you.
I never had a problem reading out loud in class, but I was sweating. I ain't want to mess that up.
Yeah.
Jonesboro in the house. Yes.
I got Tony, man, right there,
Yeah.
repping Jonesboro.
Yes, but Miss Thistle, thank you for coming on with us. The last few episodes actually started this summer with the announcement of FIS gymnastics program and Morgan Price choosing Fisk over Arkansas. We've been talking about gymnastics and stuff heavily. And then the last 2 or 3 weeks, I have to say, we've been talking about it again because Fish, competing in the first competitions and stuff and doing very well. And then Talladega.
Yeah.
Talladega College now, the alma mater of one Deion Sanders.
Petty.
I know I'm
Petty.
very petty. I'm very petty.
Petty.
But
Big news.
but the alma mater, the Talladega College now becoming the second HBCU to offer gymnastics.
So dope.
Tell us about that. Tell us about let's start here. What is the Doug Williams Center and what is your role there and how did you start?
So the Doug Williams Center is an advancement space. What we do is provide solutions for diversity, equity, and inclusion in professional and college sports. Because we're an affiliate of Grambling State University, a lot of that starts with research. So a lot of times the issues with diversity in sports is, the organizations get to kind of skate by because there's not enough research to support this outcome or that outcome. Well, we create the research. And so then after working with academicians from different HBCUs and students, we include students in the research process so that way they can have published research by the time that they graduate. They get to be a part of the whole process. And then we'll bring on interns to help with the marketing and support, so they get the experience and then they get to connect. We also have relationships with NFL. We have partnership with NFL. And so with that, we get to provide research opportunities where students get to present their research and recommendations to the NFL executives. They also, HBCU students are getting exclusive access to live talks with NFL executives and cozy private Zoom rooms where they can ask their questions and network. So it's a really dynamic space because we also provide consulting to different sports organizations to help them with their diversity issues that come up. So it's a very unique type of thing that we get to do being at that intersection of HBCU and professional and college sports.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Now, and I know, of course, this conversation is more tailored to a certain subject, but I would like to come back maybe in the future and ask you about some NFL questions also, and about your students working with the different NFL executives
For
as
sure.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you tell us more? Because I know you guys also partner with Brown Girls Do Gymnastics.
Yes.
Um, could you tell? And I know you may not, no, but could you tell us a little bit more about Brown Girls Do Gymnastics?
Absolutely. So the president of Brown Girls Do Gymnastics, Darren Moore, she is just a phenomenal person. So she was the one who really started this. We need to have gymnastics at HBCUs movement before the Doug Williams Center was even created. She was already doing that. And so when we encountered her, we were introduced to her through a former leadership member at Grambling. And he was like, Raven, I want you to take this by the horns and work with her. She wants to start at HBCU gymnastics. It can happen. Let's get the right research behind her to support that this is going to be lucrative, to support that it's going to be a benefit to Black and brown girls, and also that it's going to be a benefit to HBCU. We have to prove that with research, because there was nothing to show. Like, why would we invest in gymnastics? And you got to think, like, this is height of Simone Biles. It was an Olympic year during that time. So it was easy to get professors interested in doing the research. It was easy to get students on board. We had a couple of professors even make it a class assignment to conduct that research. Grambling State professors. One of them was Dr. Suzanne Mayo. Dr. Aaron Livingston also supported the research. He's the lead of our research and study division, the lead academician. And so partnering with Brown Girls Do Gymnastics, we decided that Grambling would host the gymnastics conference in 2021. So we had 250 brown little girls on campus doing gymnastics. And it was amazing, because so many of them, they came from all over the country. And so many of them had never been around other Black girls who were doing gymnastics. They're the only Black girl in their gymnastics gym. And so that's the power of this event. And then hosting it on the HBCU campus gave them the opportunity to dream. Because you got to realize, like, before last year, if a Black girl was a gymnast, she would have to choose between continuing gymnastics at a PWI or giving up gymnastics to feel at home at an HBCU. That's been the choice that gymnasts have had to make all time in America until last year.
Yeah.
So these girls got to come on campus, do gym, and be around people who look like them 100%. So I was a big part of coordinating the event and designing the research. And then I'm the marketing and PR director for Doug Williams Center. I know you asked what I do there, so I didn't clarify that when I answered your first question. So my main job is to get the word out and make sure that everybody knows what we're doing, why we're doing it, where we want it to go. Trying to get other HBCUs on board. And then after the event, things really blew up, because we were able to escalate the story about the research findings. Ebony Magazine was interested. We had several national news outlets picking up the story. So from there, that's when the ball really got rolling. That's when FIST came into the picture. That's when Talladega came on board. Just continuing that story, and then helping Brown Girls Do Gymnastics is ongoing work, for the Doug Williams Center.
For sure. Now, Raven, what's your ultimate goal for your nonprofit? For
The
Brown
ultimate
Girls Do
goal for Doug
Gymnastics?
Williams
Yeah.
Center?
No, for Brown Girls Do Gymnastics. What's your
Okay,
ultimate
so
goal?
Brown
Yeah,
Girls is not my nonprofit, so I really can't speak to
yeah.
what the ultimate goal is.
Mhm.
Darren Moore could, if she was here, but she probably would say something like that she wants all the HBCUs to offer gymnastics as a foundational program
Right,
in their athletic programming.
right.
Um,
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, let me ask you. So I know there's a Brown Girls Do Gymnastics, and we had a conversation last week. When are you, where's the Brown Boys Do Gymnastics? Also, is that going to be something that you guys are going to also look into?
you know what? I think you're onto something. And the only thing stopping that, as far as I know, is having men
Hmm.
come into the picture to lead that,
Yeah.
or, we need gymnasts who are going to lead that charge. Brown Girls Do Gymnastics is not exclusive to girls.
Hmm. Okay.
Darren does, there were boys, little boys are allowed to attend these events as well. Um, I do know that, but as far as the overarching organization of there being a Brown Boys Do Gymnastics, I don't know if I'm the right person to ask about
I
that.
got you. I got you.
So, to your knowledge, what were some of the biggest hurdles or obstacles that were y'all had to overcome in getting Fisk and Talladega to actually have gymnastics teams?
So, in working with Darren, who would be better suited for that question, I remember getting the buy in being a big issue because, it's not that HBCUs don't want gymnastics. It's not that at all. It's that systemically, since the beginning, HBCUs has been grossly underfunded. And so they have had to choose the athletic programming where they know for a fact that they're going to get the dollars back. And that's been places like football, basketball. Every HBCU just about has those two teams, maybe softball, baseball. And so gymnastics happens to be a really expensive sport to start. It's very expensive. It can be really difficult to find coaches, and then all of the money that funnels into it is a huge hurdle for HBCUs. And our research really details that. And for anybody who's interested, dougwilliamscenter.com/research. It's free. It's a case study there. It's called Diane Durham. It's called Black Women in Gymnastics: Continuing the Legacy of Diane Durham, who is one of the like flagship Black women to really put a stake in the ground that Black women do gymnastics too. And she was really just slighted in the end, and her career ended prematurely because of ultimately racism and other factors. So we're wanting to prevent that from happening again, but having the backing of historically Black colleges helps that happen for Black gymnasts.
Yeah.
So funding is the biggest barrier for basically all HBCUs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as the movement picks up, now we have FIST, now we have Talladega. That's momentum.
Yeah.
So more attention there means more dollars there for these HBCUs to finally be able to do it. As
Yeah.
far as other things that influence the lack of gymnastics at HBCUs, also is perception, because it tends to be an expensive sport. Um, Black and brown people have generally been excluded or not thought of when it's time to do gymnastics or when it's time to consider gymnastics. Inside the culture and outside the culture.
Yeah. Uh, David actually brings up, and it kind of goes along with some of the next few points. It says we definitely need more gymnastics programs in our communities. We can easily get some of these kids who we see doing these ridiculous flips in the hood and perfect those skills and give them more options. Then he follows up saying, if our kids can do these things with no training, imagine what they can do with an actual
Facts.
teacher.
That's
You know,
facts
so
right there.
and that's
Yes.
something because we talked about last week about, especially with, and Daniel said about young boys, how many young boys we see doing flips or saying these kids doing flips and stuff, but stigmas behind it. There is nothing there for us, so um which kind of leads to one of our next questions. If you can tell us, what are some of the other schools that you guys are working with trying to uh get the gymnastics programs for?
I can't share that because it's not my business to tell.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I know that there are more schools in the pipeline, or at least in the conversation.
Yeah.
There are more institutions in the conversation, but they're having those conversations directly with Brown Girls Do Gymnastics. So what Brown
Gotcha.
Girls Do Gymnastics does is they actually do the legwork of helping the institution find a coach, helping the institution build up the programming inside, in-house,
Awesome.
working with the athletic director to do the finer work of this is what it's going to take for you to have a gymnastics team. And then also, recruiting the gymnasts to come to the school. So Brown Girls Do Gymnastics is the one that's directly and intimately involved with
Gotcha.
all of the aspects of doing and building that. What the Doug Williams Center does is we support everything, whatever they need help with, whatever they can't do.
Yeah.
So one piece is we need to get the word out about this. We need Doug Williams level PR and marketing on this situation. Or how do we engage more HBCUs smartly? So consulting in that way. So we definitely cannot take the credit away from
No, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
at all.
I get that. I get it now.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Brown Girls Do Gymnastics. It sounds like you guys are putting together the bones, and then the programs are kind of putting the meat on, but you're giving them a solid foundation as far as finding the coaches, finding the gymnasts. So sounds like you guys are setting them up for success, which is pretty
That's
awesome.
what they do.
Yeah.
They do. They find the coaches. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So any HBCU athletic directors who are watching and you're interested in having a gymnastics team, Brown Girls Do Gymnastics will help you every step of the way.
So y'all are sort of like a liaison to Brown Girls Do Gymnastics in a sense, and help, with resources, like you said, PR, marketing, and maybe some of the things, since they're so small and Doug Williams has the platform that he has, y'all are able to get more research and more things like that. Y'all have a bigger network for them to kind of use those resources in a sense.
For sure. And I would say we've helped them with strategy. Like, okay, I see your goal. We see that this is something that could really make a difference in a lot of lives. Sports is a way paver.
Yeah.
Sports creates that path for Black people, for all people, but for Black people especially. And so, how many girls don't have the opportunity, or how many young people, not just girls, don't have the opportunity? And also on the topic of Black boys do gymnastics, I have to mention that the young women having the opportunity paves the way for the young men.
That's
for sure.
So that's coming. It's coming. It's inevitable. Black women never do anything and leave Black men behind. Never. It's never happened.
That's a powerful statement right there.
Never happened.
That's a powerful statement.
Can we clip
that will be clipped and on TikTok later.
I love it.
All right. So why is it, and we've kind of touched on this, but why is it important to expand gymnastics to HBCUs?
So one of the big things that had just happened at the time we were starting our research was a Black gymnast at a predominantly white institution in a southern state that I won't name had just experienced some extreme racism from her teammates, and it was covered up by her coaches, and she did not have the support that she needed. And she decided to transfer to an HBCU so that she didn't have to deal with the social pressures of the racism that she was encountering. And by making that choice to go to an HBCU, she was making the choice to give up her career as an athlete.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is one of the many reasons why we need to have all the sport availability in the inclusive space of an HBCU. It's a prime example. And that young lady, she reached out to Brown Girls Do Gymnastics for support. Her story got national coverage. That coach and her teammates had to face consequences for what they did. But also, she became a spokesperson for this movement. And she was actually present at the Grambling Brown Girls Do Gymnastics conference. She was present as one of the teachers and instructors there. So she continues to be a voice for this movement. So that's one of the reasons why we need it, because if one Black youth needs it, we all need it. If she's in trouble, if she's suffering, we're all suffering and we're all in trouble.
For sure.
So that's a part of it.
that's-
Another part of it is
That's big.
gymnasts are some of the highest academic achievers.
Hmm.
All of the gymnasts, and I mean all of the gymnasts who graduate toward the top of their class. They're not majoring, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they're bringing, this is the type of athletic statistic that athletic departments need. They don't just need an athlete, they need a smart athlete. They need athletes who are making the grade. Gymnasts make the grade statistically. So they're bringing up the numbers for HBCU athletics departments just by being there.
Yeah.
So that's one of the benefits. And then third, this is an internationally respected sport. It's an Olympic sport. So when you start offering gymnastics at your university, you're opening the door for Simone Biles to come and speak. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you're raising the bar, you're elevating the public perception of your institution by including this really elite sport. Not to mention sponsorship dollars and things like that that come in the door when you add a sport of this magnitude. And then the last thing I'll say about why it's so important, and I could go on, is just the opportunity that it provides. I mean, at the end of the day, HBCU or any institution, but especially HBCUs, these are places where Black kids aspire to be. It's a
Yeah.
safe place for you. And so when you decide that you want to go to an HBCU, you shouldn't have to also decide to narrow down your options for what you can do as an athlete. You should be able to say, I want to go learn with my people, and I'm going to do whatever it is you want to do. So this is a step closer to making that real.
Yeah.
Um,
Man.
I'm gonna ask this
Reaching over
question.
here, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna ask this question for a reason, and so because I know a lot of our people here usually typically tune in for the football and the basketball and stuff like that. But I'm gonna ask this for a reason, and then once you answer, I can do approximately how many young ladies are on a gymnastics team.
All right, once again, not a gymnastics expert.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a gymnastics expert, so I don't even know. I want to say there are 10 at minimum,
Okay.
Okay.
but I could be completely wrong. So Darren Moore, president of BGDG, when you watch this, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and just apologize.
Hey,
Oh, no,
Google. Hey, it's a quick Google search for the viewers.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Yeah,
here.
go ahead.
So, and the reason why I asked that, a lot of HBCUs have talked about going from FCS to FBS.
Mm.
With Title IX, you have to have those the same number. You have to give scholarships on the football side. You have to give them on the to women's sports as well. Adding a gymnastics program at a HBCU could do that.
It's 12.
So is it 12? So then that could be another 2 sports that you can add at a HBCU to help you get to that mark. But I'm just throwing it out there. I'm
Look
just
at
saying.
that. Yes.
I'm just saying. I don't know if a lot of people.
And while
Thank
while
you.
we kind of veering away from gymnastics for a second, let me ask you this question. What you kind of touched on it before, but I'll let you kind of expound a little bit. What are some of the other avenues and things that the Doug Williams Center is working in and have worked in the past?
Yeah, so we love supporting placement. One thing I love about working in the HBCU space is the goal is not just the graduate. The goal is not just for you to graduate, it's the employed graduate.
Mhm.
So we love to support HBCU students as they look for internships and jobs, and then graduates as they're looking for jobs. So what we do is we partner with organizations like the NFL. They pass along their openings. Hey, we want an HBCU student to fill these roles. And then we go and share that with our network. So on our advisory board, we have the commissioners from 4 HBCU athletic conferences. So we got the SWAC, the MEAC, the list goes on. So that gives us access to dozens, hundreds of other schools. So we can filter those job opportunities through that network. So if I don't know if your audience has HBCU students that watch, but if you are an HBCU student watching, go over to DougWilliamsCenter.com, make sure you click join the huddle. That's our newsletter. And when you join the huddle, you will be in the know when those opportunities come up. I will personally be sending those emails out to that list of HBCU students. In addition to sharing the job openings, beginning this month, we're going to offer support with your application process because sometimes you don't even know. So we're giving the additional support to the HBCU student and recent graduate. So we will give you coaching through the application process, interview process, whatever you need to help mentor you into the new role that you're going to be entering. And it doesn't just stop when you get hired. One of our interns, Taylor Nunley, when she got done working with us, she went on to work for the Cavs. She's still working with the Cavs. And we keep in touch. I still give her, mentorship. She will call me about any work-related things that she needs help with or support on. And that's how we show up for our interns and our HBCU students. In addition to that, I mentioned that we have a speaker series. We've also supported the state of Louisiana legislation. We went through the process of getting legislation passed that will require a Black applicant be interviewed for all head coaching and athletic director roles at Louisiana institutions of higher learning. So that hasn't been passed yet, but it was a very public process that we went through and are still in to try to get that passed. Let me think, what else do we do? In addition to research. So we kind of let the problem guide the work.
Yeah.
What's something that needs to be done? Is it something that we can support? Is it something that we can make a difference in? Right now, we have research coming out on amateurism. We are going to be deconstructing amateurism. Amateurism is rooted in a lot of things that are not really based on your skill as an athlete. So that's coming soon.
Right.
That's
Raven, if I could also ask you a question. You mentioned something earlier about mentoring. As a young Black professional, especially growing up in Louisiana, that's not too many people that we see that we grow up with that work in corporate America. So whenever it comes to, especially, you've been from Jonesboro, a small community in Louisiana. I mean, did you have any mentors that helped you, that guided you as far as throughout your career? And how important is that these kids that participate in your program, how important is that for them to have that mentorship?
I believe mentorship is absolutely essential. And what you just hit on is major. The fact that most of us do not have mentors or really even role models a lot of time, depending on what we want to do. A lot of times, because we are Black and or from small communities, we choose our role models based on who we already see doing things, not based on what we want to do. And then there's somebody that we know. Jonesboro is the big city. Jonesboro is absolutely the big city. Right? Southern classic chicken. The lines be wrapped around the road. So
don't come during Christmas time.
Look. So yeah. So we choose our mentors based on who we see doing things already. Oh, Kobe Bryant, he's playing basketball. He seems like an amazing person. I want to play basketball now because that's what he's doing. And so now I'm training my life in the direction of somebody who I look up to as a person. And on the converse, it would be, I really love art. I want to be a painter. Let me see if there are painters who are doing what I want to do. And then you're led from the inside. Yeah. So that's an opportunity that's why so many of us, we follow a track because we latched on to a mentor. And then when we get down in that track, even if we're successful at it, we'd be like, well, maybe I don't know if I want to do this after all, because that wasn't coming from here.
Right.
So mentorship in all these different lanes it gives us the power of being authentic. So that's a part of it. I would say for me, I didn't have mentorship growing up. I didn't see, I was weird, I was quirky, I was into a lot of things that I didn't really know anybody else who was into. I was into anime, I was into, drawing and, just whatever was a little offbeat. And I didn't see any Black women doing that stuff. I didn't see any Black women who were writing about the things I was writing about. So, and then, being a multi-potentialite, I'm somebody who's always had multiple passions. There's so many people like that. You have so many things that you're interested in, and it's really hard to choose a lane. Can we get mentors who are doing many things? So no, I didn't have mentors growing up. Now I have mentors and I seek them out.
Yeah.
I actually have my eyes on a woman, and I love what she's doing, and I'm gonna email her. I've already got the email drafted up. I'm just, what I'm saying? I seek out people who I like and I admire, and I try to spend time with them so that I can become more of who I want to become.
Yeah.
And I also love mentoring others. I have several mentors, and I love when they call me. I will stop whatever I'm doing when they call me because it's essential. And I think all of us need to be doing that, no matter who you are or what you're doing. Even if you get to the point where you realize that you're a big deal. Get to the point where you realize that you are a big deal because you're you.
Yeah.
That because you're you, you have something to give, and then give it back, especially as Black men. That's why your podcast is so important. Your podcast is so important. People who you don't even know are watching. They need you. You are already somebody's mentor and you don't even know it, So yeah, mentorship is essential.
Don't have us up in here crying now.
And I was just about to say, you touched on something that was very important though. Like you said you didn't see anyone like you who were into the things that you were into, and you touched on it also with the Brown Girls Do Gymnastics event. Kids seeing kids that look like them doing the same thing they were interested in, and I think that's kind of, just to take it full circle. To me, that's the biggest or most important thing about gymnastics at HBCUs is the representation that young Black girls will see of seeing, college, a team full of young Black women doing college gymnastics, and they can say, oh, I can do that. I can go to college and be a gymnast, and they don't have to feel like, because I don't see anyone like me doing this, that there's something I can't achieve. So to me, that's the most important thing, is the representation for young women.
Absolutely. If I had seen Black women visual artists, I probably wouldn't be here right now, because I would have had the confidence to pursue creating art as a career. I'm grateful that I'm here though, because I love what I'm doing now, but it would have changed the trajectory of my life if I had just seen one.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's interview, man.
For sure.
Let me ask this. As we get ready to kind of wrap, first of all, thank you so much for coming on.
Facts.
Very informative, very inspiring. For those who would like to help, how can they do that? As far as the Doug Williams Center, what are some ways we can help out?
Yeah, how you can support the Doug Williams Center. I love this. Nobody ever asked that.
Trying to do our part too,
Yeah. So here's what you can do. You can go to DougWilliamsCenter.com, click Join the Huddle. You won't be sorry. The Huddle is not just a newsletter, which it is. It's a great newsletter that gives you an overview every month of all the social advancement in sports, the high points. But also you get exclusive access and first look at what we're doing next. We ask you for your opinions on what we're doing, what we're working on, what should we be working on. You get to weigh in on the work. And also you get first access to our research. You're the first person to get your hands on the newest case study. So join the huddle. Make sure that you're following Doug Williams Center on all of our social media platforms so that you are in the know about what's next, what we're doing, where we're going to be, how you can be a part of events. And then, there's going to be more opportunities and more different ways for people to support in the near future. It really depends on what you're doing. If you're interested in partnering with us, then you can go to the Doug Williams Center. There's a menu option that says engage, and one of the drop options is partner with us. If you are a researcher or a student interested in researching diversity, equity, inclusion in sports, past, present, or future, also go to the website and click study with us. So those are the 3 primary ways that you can engage. And we would be happy to talk to, whomever wants to really invest in this work.
See, you good, because that was going to be my next question. So thank you so very much. Again, thank you so much for joining us, providing us with great information. And again, very inspiring.
Thanks for having me. I'm so grateful. Thank you for
Hopefully
inviting me.
No problem. Hopefully we can do this again and kind of get into some of the NFL and non-gymnastics things that the Doug Williams Center is doing.
I would love to.
Awesome. All right. Appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our very special guest, Miss Raven Thissel, Marketing and PR Director at the Doug Williams Center. Thank you again, Miss Raven.